As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the finale of the Ramadan Prep series as we embark upon this journey to optimize our Ramadan. You've now gotten the reminders about the Islamic significance and gotten that Iman boost, and I encourage you to refer back to those modules. You've gotten the overview and you've gotten the deep dive of nutrition to really go deep with your nutrition plan, whether you're doing it through the trial and error or whether you're doing it with the additional meal plan upgrade. Inshallah, we look forward to ensuring that you see success. Make sure to post in the community, keep us posted on the journey with your wins, your questions, everything else, as well as through whatever other means of communication that you have with us. Now, today we're going to be diving into the Ramadan workout times and modifications, how to work out in Ramadan, what are the best times to train, and how to experiment before Ramadan, whether guided experimentation or whether solo experimentation, to ensure that by the time Ramadan comes, you're good to go as long as you've put in the work with your Ramadan prep. So, bismillah, let's go ahead and dive in. First, we're going to dive into the best Ramadan workout times and the pros and cons of each of the 6 times that you can work out during Ramadan. So the first time that you could work out is probably the second to least popular, okay? And that's before suhoor, okay? So if you have a ton of discipline and your schedule allows it, it's a great way to just get it over with. You can hit the gym fully hydrated and then eat and hydrate after at suhoor. But the cons are it can mess up your sleep. For most people's schedules, it takes a lot of discipline. You might end up missing out on tahajjud. Even eating a nice suhoor may be insufficient. Your hydration levels may be off. So again, there are some people it works well for. If you've done it before and it worked well for you, you could do it again. But if it wasn't sustainable or you got a bunch of issues, then obviously we might want to look into some of the other situations. Now, the next one sounded unfathomable to me until some of my clients asked if they could do it a couple years ago. And I said, hey, okay, fine, if you're sure. And sure enough, they actually got good results from it. And I realized that there is a small group of people who can get really good results with this. I would say that this is the third least popular, but for the people it works well for, it works really, really well. And that's right after Fajr, okay? For some, it can give an incredible energy boost. And it's also very time efficient. It's a convenient time for many people because it's a convenient time outside of Ramadan. Just the added challenge is obviously that if you're fasting, you're not going to be able to, eat or hydrate after. And so for people like me who need to eat and hydrate after the workout, it's not really suitable for somebody like me and somebody like you if that's you. But if you're somebody like my client, Dr. Mubin, well, guess what? Dr. Mubin, he's actually the original poster child for this. So Dr. Mubin, when he first came in, he was struggling. We had to work really hard to hold him accountable and coach him to stay accountable to his workouts. And he started with us 2.5 years ago. And Allahumma barak, the first Ramadan, it was a grind for him. But the second Ramadan that he was working with us, subhanAllah. I remember the first Ramadan check-in we had that second Ramadan because I knew he was somebody who struggled with consistency before. Ramadan was the time that he was more consistent than even outside of Ramadan. And he was working out after Fajr. And I only had him on 3 days a week. He was working out 5 days a week. And I said, Mubin, what's the secret? He said, well, if I don't work out in the morning during Ramadan, I don't really have energy. So I need to work out in the morning during Ramadan. And from then on, even after Ramadan, he had built that habit that he maintained after Ramadan that helped him to actually gain more energy from his workouts. And he finally made that mind-muscle connection that I had been theoretically telling him about when he first started to help him stay accountable. As a busy doctor and dad, of course, I was like, hey, you know what? You'll have more energy for your patients, all that stuff. And he was like, yeah, sure. But it didn't really click until that Ramadan. And ever since, he's been super consistent, even when he had his second kid, Allahumma barak. So it could work for you. You can experiment with it. We've had a couple other clients do so. But again, it's a little tricky. Now, the third one is our least popular time to work out. I actually only know one person who does, I know a couple people who have done it, but I only know one person who does this consistency and prefers this. And that is midday, like Dhuhr time. Now, for most people, I do not recommend this. It's the hottest time of day. Even in the winter, it might be a little bit hot and you can get very dehydrated. And this is not recommended for most. But the one person I'll give you the example is my boxing coach. Now, he actually used to be my neighbor, okay? And he's a long-term family friend of ours. He knows my grandpa, everything else. Allahumma barak, Coach Ramzi. So for him, it was crazy because subhanAllah, one day I was going for a walk in the middle of the day during Ramadan. And I thought I was all great. Oh yeah, look at me. I'm going for a walk in the sun, even though I'm fasting. Alhamdulillah, thumbs up, give myself a pat on the back. And I see this guy running on the treadmill, pounding his legs, probably going 10 miles an hour for an endurance run. Or I don't know, maybe he was going 7, maybe he was going 9, but he wasn't going slow. I'll tell you that. This was not a jog. This was a proper legs pounding, everything. He was sweating, pouring sweat. And I immediately assumed he wasn't fasting. I was like, there's no way he's fasting. I said, aren't you fasting? He said, yeah, but the fasting's too easy, so I make it harder for myself by going for this run. So you know what? If you want to build that level of discipline, and he was in his 50s at the time, now he's in his 60s, Allahumma barak, and I'm pretty sure he still does this. He's on a different level. He's got that 80s world champion, gold medalist, athlete mindset. But for most of us, that's not going to be recommended. Okay, so now let's get into the most popular times. One of the most popular times is before Maghrib. It's convenient. You're going to burn a lot of fat because you're completely fasted. And some people, especially Egyptians and Ahl Sham, so people from the Sham region, Palestinians, Lebanese, Syrians, there's something about that genotype where they perform really, really well at the end of a fast. For some reason, Egyptians and Ahl Sham, literally at the end of a fast, their energy levels are incredible. And some really thick, Pathans and Punjabi, origin, Afghanis and, Pakistanis can do really well there, but the problem is that there are some people who have more of the skinny fat Pakistani genetics as opposed to the built Pakistani genetics, or from various other cultures, who find that they just don't really perform that well here. And I fall into this category where my workout performance significantly dips, especially when I was younger. Now that I've gotten older, my metabolism is slower, so my body still has a little bit of energy reserves at that time to where I can still get a good pump even if the weights I'm lifting are not that great, and I have to be careful about sweating. But there are some people who do really well here, so experiment it in your Sunnah fast, and if you find that your energy levels are amazing, like some of my Egyptian clients, some of my Ahl Sham clients, then you could try it out and it might be the ideal scenario for you. Now, and again, it's very convenient. You're going to burn a lot of fat, but if you find that your workout performance is awful here, you have no energy, you have no strength, it sucks, don't do it here. You can do one of the other times or experiment with other times, or just sacrifice a little bit of strength, go 30% lighter on your lifts. There's one of the modifications we can make. Do half of the volume that you normally would, half the number of sets, boom, no problem. You're going to see that reflected in a lot of the Ramadan programs and when we talk about the modifications later in today's video. And inshallah, that can be, if that's really the only time you have, even if it's not physically optimal for you, but it's literally the only time that's realistic for you in your schedule, you can do it. But if you want to get some form of exercise, if not lifting at that time, like let's say you're lifting at another time that works better for you, or doing your bodyweight workout at another time that works better for you, but you want to still get the fat burning benefits of doing exercise at the end of a fast, go for a walk. Going for a walk at Asr time, you're going to get red light, which is good for your circadian rhythm. It's good for recovery. And also you're going to be burning a lot of fat. So it's an ideal scenario to go for a walk, but maybe you do your lifting at another time, or maybe your lifting is ideal performance at that time before Maghrib. So you can do it, break your fast post workout, boom, it's good. But for me, I get too dehydrated. I don't like training at that time. So I usually avoid it unless it's the only time I can do with my schedule, which does happen sometimes, and I can still make it work, but I have to reduce the volume and intensity quite a bit. Now, number 5, it's difficult, but it's between Maghrib and Isha. The pro is convenience, but the con is that you might still be digesting. Even if you follow my light iftar strategy, it still may not be comfortable as your stomach's adjusting to things to suddenly start sending blood flow elsewhere to work out. The timing can be a little bit tricky because it's such a tight window, and usually you're trying to spend family time or do ibadah at the masjid. And usually you're going to be doing a home bodyweight workout or a masjid bodyweight backup workout at this time, but it's very doable, especially if you're doing itikaf in the masjid. You basically, this is a really great time to do it. And it'll boost your energy for your ibadah later in the night, help you to digest if, again, you ate light beforehand and all that stuff. So you can experiment with this and it might actually be a very ideal scenario for you. Now, the most ideal scenario, if your schedule can handle it, is lifting after Isha and Tarawih. The benefit to this is your performance is basically the same as it would be normally outside of Ramadan, because you can basically carb up fully, hydrate fully, you'll feel great. But the cons are that it can disrupt your sleep. You're going to be getting to sleep very late, and especially if you have family or work obligations and responsibility in the morning, you're not going to be able to do it. So of these times, now that I've introduced you to the concepts, you might want to start experimenting a couple of them. I would recommend that in your Sunnah fast before Ramadan, you definitely try out the after Fajr, you definitely try the before Maghrib, you try between Maghrib and Isha, both at the masjid and at home, or even, gym is not realistic at this time, given the priorities of Ramadan. And you can also try late night, although I wouldn't try the late night too much because I don't want you to mess up your circadian rhythm. We're trying to improve your sleep quality here, not decrease it. But I think for a lot of you, before Maghrib and after Fajr can be really good. And for a lot of you, before Maghrib, doing a slightly lighter workout, even if your performance is down, can still be very good. And between Maghrib and Isha can be good. But again, if you have a flexible schedule, you're a single entrepreneur, you don't have any morning obligations, after Isha Tarawih, the night owl schedule is amazing during Ramadan, so you could try that for some of your Sunnah fast as well. Of course, let us know if you have any questions on this, and we can help, obviously guide you through the experimentation here. Now, next up, let's talk about Ramadan workout programs and different modifications that we need to make to accommodate for Ramadan and work around Ramadan and ensure that we're not interfering with our ibadah, but rather getting ideal performance, energy boost, health boost, muscle retention, endurance retention, so that we have optimal strength during the last 10 nights. And after Ramadan, we head straight into our Shawwal fast, no problem, we're still strong, right? So we obviously have programs in the app for Ramadan. You're gonna have gym variations, you're gonna have home equipment variations where you have just some equipment at home, and you're gonna have bodyweight flexible programs that are just literally only bodyweight, okay? So the most time efficient is just gonna be bodyweight, which again is bodyweight backup, bodyweight flexible, because you can do these from home. So if you choose a bodyweight program during Ramadan, you can still maintain, it's only 4 weeks, okay? So you'll easily maintain your muscle. It's not very taxing. You can do it from anywhere, masjid, home, the park, literally anywhere you happen to be at the time that you decide to work out during Ramadan. You can even do it from your office at work if your cubicle isn't too small, if you work in a cubicle. I even know a brother who, he has such a busy schedule, he doesn't really have space at home because he has a lot of relatives living with him, Allahumma barak, even though they have a big house, Allahumma barak. So sometimes he might have to work out just from his conference room at his office, right? So again, it's flexible, and that is a huge advantage. So even if you choose one of the home equipment programs or one of the gym programs, I still want you to remember that if there's ever a day you can't make it to the gym, which will probably happen during Ramadan at some point, you have the bodyweight backup to use that it's still effective. For me, I prefer to go to the gym during Ramadan, but I would say during Ramadan, I might end up maybe getting 2 gym workouts a week and 1 bodyweight workout a week. And that's fine. You can interchange between the programs. That's fine. You have access to all of them, so you can interchange between them. And of course, if you're on the custom workout program upgrade, then we can customize this for you and guide you through the process as well. But regardless of who you are, you can access, the bodyweight and the gym programs to where you can do both. Okay. Best of both worlds. Now, of course, we have home equipment and home bodyweight flexible. So these are great. Like if you're going to be at home quite a bit, especially for some of the sisters, maybe while you're cooking, you bust out some squats and, some dumbbells. Like that's actually realistic. Maybe after your husband goes to Tarawih and the kids go to sleep, you do a little bit of ibadah, and then after your ibadah, you close off with, a quick dumbbell workout. Maybe before iftar, after you're done cooking, everything is warm, ready to go. You bust out that quick workout as long as the kids are being chill. Maybe you bust it out at Fajr after your husband takes the kids to school or after you take them to school, whatever it might be. You could even do midday. I've actually surprisingly had some sisters do these home workouts midday. So it's 2 types of people. My boxing coach, the most hardcore professional athlete, and the sisters who are working out from home. I've actually had a lot of the sisters train because a lot of the sisters, I have them training at a pretty low intensity with just, the dumbbells, that they're easily able to do this from home. And that's the most ideal time for them in Ramadan when the kids are at school, the baby's taking a nap and the husband's at work, and you finally have some time for yourself. You gotta do what you gotta do. Some sisters have even woken up before suhoor, subhanAllah. Some of these sisters got better motivation, discipline than the brothers. So Allahumma barak. And of course, some of the brothers are at peak levels of discipline, but may Allah facilitate for us all to be at peak levels of discipline. Ameen, ameen, ameen. So, and then of course, there's the gym aspect, but I don't want you wasting time at the gym. I don't want you sacrificing ibadah time and masjid time for gym time. The gym is not that important. You can still maintain with body weight. And if doing body weight during Ramadan helps you to make more ibadah, then it's a very clear decision, right? On the Day of Judgment, you're not going to be like, oh, I wish I worked out more in Ramadan. You're going to be like, dang, I wish I did more ibadah. On the flip side though, so that's one end of the spectrum, the people who work out too much. But then you also got the people who are like, oh, working out is important. But on the Day of Judgment, they're going to say, hey, I wish I took care of the body that Allah gave me so I could do more ibadah. So there's a balance. You don't want to work out too much that takes away from your ibadah, but you don't want to work out too little that you become weak, frail, decrepit, lazy, tired, low energy, unhealthy to where it stops you from doing ibadah. There's a middle ground, and that's what the maintenance protocol is for. And that's why in Ramadan, the bodyweight workouts are amazing, okay? But you can always interchange. You can do what I do. You can do 1 to 2 gym workouts, 1 to 2 bodyweight workouts. You can, do all bodyweight. You can do all gym if it's realistic and it's not taken away from ibadah. You can mix and match, okay? Now, regardless of what program you choose for Ramadan from the programs that we have, there's a couple different things that change in Ramadan. Your volume, your intensity, your weight, which obviously kind of ties in with intensity, the weight that you're using, general recommendations and specifics for certain exercises and custom modifications for the individual. So number 1, we're always going to train low volume in Ramadan. So let's say we're going to do 1 less set per exercise. So let's say that you normally do 2 or 3 sets for an exercise, you're only going to do 1 or 2. Okay. So let's say, your workout is, I'll give it, and also if you're doing 4, we might reduce it as well. So let's say that normally your chest workout is 4 sets of 6 bench press, 3 sets of 12 incline bench, and 2 sets of 12 flies. Okay, and that's your normal chest workout with the rear delts between everything. But just for the sake of simplicity, I just want to give you an easy, simple example here. For your bench press, instead of doing 4x6, you might do 2x6. Okay, so you might actually go down by 2 sets, or you might do 3x5, or you might do 2x8. We want to keep the volume a little bit lower. We don't want it to be doing a whole lot of total reps. We're usually not going to be doing crazy 4 sets or 5 sets of 5. I mean, that's just going to waste so much energy and it's not necessary to maintain. You might even just do 1 top set of 5. Okay, so you can reduce the volume by 1 to 2 sets if you're currently doing 3, 4, or more. Okay, no more than 2 sets per exercise, maybe 3 on some of your strength lifts if you're training low reps. Like if you're training in the 5 rep range, you could do 3 sets for your main lifts. But as soon as you start to go into the 6 rep range, I recommend bringing the sets down to 2. And then all the way up to the 12 to 15 rep range, you could do 2 sets. But once you get to the 12s and 15s, you might drop it down to 1 set. And once you're at 15 plus, you might drop it down to 1 set. Again, we want to keep the volume pretty low. Usually no more than 15 to 30 reps per exercise across all sets, right? So in the example of the 4x6 bench, 3x12 incline bench, 2x15 flies being your normal outside of Ramadan workout, for Ramadan, you might consolidate it to 2x6 for bench, right? Instead of 4x6, 2x12 instead of 3x12 on your incline, and then dumbbell incline, and then only 1 set of 15 on your flies. Now you might be thinking, what if I'm doing that much less volume and I'm doing less weight, I'm going to lose all my muscle? Don't worry, you're not going to lose muscle. You're still giving yourself a sufficient stimulus for maintenance. It takes a fraction of the volume to maintain muscle as it does to build it. So you don't need to worry about a thing. You're not going to be building muscle during Ramadan. You build muscle the other 11 months of the year. And Ramadan, you're building your soul. You're building your ibadah. You're stacking good deeds for your akhirah, that on the Day of Judgment, you'll be so glad that Allah gave you the tawfiq and the hidayah to do these good deeds. So focus on what's truly important. Working out's important, but deen is far more important than working out. working out supports the deen, it shouldn't take away from it. Okay? Stronger believer is more beloved to Allah than the weaker believer. So make sure that you're being the stronger believer by prioritizing your iman and using the body that Allah gave you and treating it right to allow you to do more ibadah. That's the intention and goal with Ramadan, which is why low volume is perfect. And when you do low volume, it's going to benefit your ibadah because you're going to have more time and energy because you're not draining all your time and energy on the workout. You're going to have better recovery because it's less taxing on your system. And during Ramadan, because you're fasting, your recovery isn't at the same level it would be outside of Ramadan when you're able to eat more and eat more frequently and get protein in more often. Okay? Now, if you follow our protocol, of course, your recovery is going to be pretty darn good, but it's not going to be quite as good as outside of Ramadan. Your sleep, especially the last 10 nights. The last 10 nights, you're probably all going to be doing body weight. Almost none of you are going to be doing lifting unless somehow you're able to work it in easily or you have the home equipment. So, but again, even if you're doing itikaf at the masjid, like literally I've had times where I just busted out some push-ups in the masjid and that was enough to maintain during Ramadan. It really doesn't take much to maintain. So don't worry, you're not gonna lose muscle. Just get your protein intake per the last video and do these maintenance workouts. Now, the next component is the intensity and the weight that we use. The first week of Ramadan, you are gonna feel weaker because you're getting used to not just fasting a couple days a week, but fasting consecutively in Ramadan, doing the long nights of our ibadah. Your system is being taxed and it's fine. I mean, we do these things for the sake of Allah. It's an amazing opportunity that Allah gives us the opportunity to strive at such a high level for Him, and may Allah accept all of our good deeds and reward us abundantly for them. Ameen. So you're gonna use 20 to 30% less weight the first week of Ramadan. Okay? You're gonna be dehydrated, your glycogen is gonna be depleted from the fast, you're gonna be tired, and you're focused on your ibadah. So there's no need to go maximally heavy. Don't worry. I know that some of these skinny fat influencers online say you need to train at maximum intensity heavy all the time, especially if you're in a calorie deficit, otherwise you're gonna lose muscle. Don't have that scarcity mindset towards muscle. You will lose glycogen. You are gonna get flat. So don't freak out on your first fast. Your first fast, you're gonna look smaller. All that is you're flat. Now, what flat means is that there's less water and less glycogen in your muscle because you're literally dehydrated and you're not eating anything. But that doesn't mean that you actually lost muscle tissue. Literally, you would have to not train and not eat protein for 2 weeks straight in order to actually lose muscle tissue. But glycogen, you'll lose it in a single day and that's fine. All it is just the water and carb storage in the muscle. So do not freak out no matter what. Just go focus on your ibadah. Remind yourself what you just heard from me. Remind yourself that you're not losing muscle. And literally, the day that Eid hits and you eat all those carbs and sugar and all that stuff, your muscles are going to fill back out and you're going to realize you didn't lose any muscle at all. If anything, you might have even gained some muscle by accident in Ramadan. I'm not just saying this as somebody who, Munir gains muscle easily, but me, I'm skinny fat, so I'm going to listen to that skinny fat influencer. No, don't listen to the skinny fat influencer. Listen to the professionals who have worked with hundreds of people like myself. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to lose muscle. Just eat your protein at suhoor and iftar and everything in the nutrition protocol. Do these maintenance workouts, you're going to be good to go, even if you're going 20 to 30% less heavy. You're getting blood flow in the muscle. It takes way less volume, a fraction of the volume. I believe it's like 1/9 or 1/7 the volume to maintain muscle it does to gain it. And the reason I'm hitting this point so hard is that I was so dense-headed when I was younger that I wouldn't have listened to me either. I would have been like, no, I know I'm losing muscle. I look so small. No, you're only small because you lost water weight. You didn't actually lose muscle. You just lost the glycogen storage in the muscle. Trust me. I used to get flat so easily. I always cause unnecessary stress over it. It's not worth stressing over it. You're not losing muscle. Just do your maintenance, eat your protein. You'll be fine. And at the end of the day, even if you did lose muscle, well, guess what? You're sacrificing it for the sake of Allah. So Allah's going to reward you. Anything you leave for the sake of Allah, Allah's going to give you better. But don't worry, you're not actually losing muscle. But you're still making sacrifices for the sake of Allah. Your workouts are going to be a little weaker. You're making that sacrifice for Allah. Allah's going to give you something better. The good deeds and the forgiveness of Ramadan. Allahumma barak. Alhamdulillah. So now there are some specific exceptions. Okay. So as the end of Ramadan hits, you're going to start to get used to fasting to where you can start to go heavier. You might even be able to add weight every single week. You probably will because you're going to get used to it. Except for the last 10 nights, if your sleep is off, you're gonna have to probably go lighter again. So at the beginning and the end of Ramadan, you might need to go lighter because in the beginning, you're getting used to it. At the end, your sleep is off because you're really, going all out with our ibadah all night long, 3-4 hours of sleep per 24-hour period. I get it. You get the barakah of Ramadan, no problem. You recover afterwards. Again, in that case, just do the bodyweight workouts, go lighter, don't go super crazy. Just get a pump, get the blood flow, get the energy boost, and then move on to your ibadah and leverage that energy for your ibadah, which is the main purpose. Okay, don't worry, you're gonna maintain strength. You're gonna feel stronger because you didn't work out that hard and you didn't deplete yourself, and you're gonna have a lot more energy. And if you have questions, concerns, you don't believe me, drop a comment or a question in the community and I will argue with you until you accept what I'm saying right now. But I hope I hit it hard enough in this video that we don't need to argue, but I will still argue with you until you focus on your ibadah and stop stressing out about losing muscle and all this other stuff, okay? All right, so see how you feel though, you can go heavier. Like really week 2 and 3 of Ramadan is probably going to go the heaviest because you're getting used to it and you're progressive overloading. But week 4, focus on your ibadah, like I said. Now also, let's say that going heavier really drains you, right? Because it does drain your nervous system when you go heavy. You can also hit higher reps, especially on the body weight movements. Like, I think on the 27th night of Ramadan last year, I busted out 50 push-ups. And it actually gave me a lot more energy to do more ibadah, alhamdulillah. So again, there are always ways. Just remember, the intention behind your workouts is to boost your ibadah, not take away from it. And don't worry, you're not going to lose muscle. But if you remember one sentence from this video, that's the only sentence. Write it on your phone background and look at it every day, and it's going to help you, inshallah. All right. So again, we already covered the reps on the assistance lifts and the main lifts and everything else. So let me know if you guys have any questions, inshallah. Now, the last component here is we're going to talk about experimenting before Ramadan. So I have some clients who come to me and Allahumma barak, it might be the middle of summer, and they're like, hey, you know what? I want to sunnah fast year round. I want to do the fasting of Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, one day on, one day off, boom. And I'm like, Allahumma barak, you inspire me. So for those people, what I do is I usually offset their workouts and make their workout days on the days where they're not fasting. So if they're fasting Mondays and Thursdays, I might have them work out Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, right? Or Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, there's so many different ways to set it up. But during our Ramadan prep, I want you to work out on your sunnah fast days so you can experiment the times that I just shared with you before, okay? Instead of offsetting them like usual. So experiment the foods per the last module, experiment the workout times per this module. And that way, you've already gotten the trial and error out of the way before Ramadan so that you don't risk your Ramadan to find out when it's too late. Find out now so you don't have to find out when it's too late, okay? Experiment now so that by Ramadan, you have your perfect strategy locked in that you feel very confident about. So you go into Ramadan with confidence and preparation to make the most of it, inshallah. And so my brothers and sisters, we now are concluding the Ramadan Prep series. I finished the last video up here in the mountains at my friend's recording studio up high to finish on a peak, on a high. We started off the series in my living room. We went on an adventure to the jungle. Really, it's just this outside area with some nice palm trees in the background. And then we came back to my living room to go deep into the nutrition strategy. And now we're here finishing off the workouts, finishing off the series. Inshallah, there's going to be more Ramadan roundtables. There's going to be different live Q&A. There's going to be different things you get VIP access to as a member of the app, the community, everything. And so at the end of the day, my goal here is to prepare the believers for Ramadan for the sake of Allah. I'm grateful for the opportunity to help you as my profession. Please pay this forward and teach what you're learning here to your friends and family. You can even invite them to join the app. Inshallah, we'll have some referral stuff as well that you could potentially do. Just message us about that. But even if they don't want to join, teach them what you're learning. Prepare these foods for them. Give them the recipes. Literally, I want to share this with the whole ummah because I'm tired of seeing people in the masjid struggling to focus on Taraweeh, falling asleep, belching, and there's this painful smell of these, terrible bloating foods that they're eating. And I can only imagine how much their stomach is hurting as I see them miserably burping, barely holding on. I'm tired of seeing that. I want to see the brothers showing up to the masjid strong, energetic. I want the sisters, instead of barely hobbling out of the masjid because they're so heavy, I want them to feel strong and healthy and happy and being a good role model for their kids, prepping healthy food for their family. And that's why I want you to pay this forward, send it to teach your parents, teach your kids, teach everybody in your family, teach your spouse. May Allah make us successful. Allahumma balighna Ramadan. But most importantly, remember the Islamic reminders. Go back to the beginning module and remind yourself of the Islamic reminders and the significance here. Remember, even outside of Ramadan, Allah may multiply your good deeds up to 700 times if you do them with ihsan, with excellence. So when you're praying, try to embody the ultimate khushu, the ultimate sujood, the ultimate submission to Allah, the ultimate following the sunnah with your prayers for the sake of pleasing Allah. I try to think about that, and it really helps me to really get motivated and zoned in on my prayer in the hopes that Allah will multiply my reward more than just 10 times. But even if we just do good deeds at a mediocre standard, as long as we're doing them sincerely, we still get 10 times. SubhanAllah, Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He's so merciful and generous to us. He's Al-Karim, Al-Wahhab. And literally, even if we do, just good deeds at a normal level, it's at least times 10. And it can go all the way up to 700 times, but the bad deeds are only times 1. Allahumma barak. So may Allah help us to do more good deeds, both inside and outside of Ramadan. May Allah help us to prepare. You got the physical preparation plan. We're going to be executing and get our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and our souls ready. Now it's time to get to work. Bismillah. Please say Ameen to these du'as. Allahumma balighna Ramadan. Allahumma balighna Laylatul Qadr. Ameen. And that is it, my brothers and sisters. Inshallah, I look forward to seeing you on the Ramadan roundtables, the live Q&As, everything else. And inshallah, anything else you need, post in the community. Bismillah. Let's make it happen. Please keep me in your du'as. You definitely all are in my du'as. May Allah help everybody inside of our app and all of our communities, this entire ummah, to be successful in Ramadan for both deen and dunya. Ameen. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.